everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be about a substyle that is not really a substyle, but it is a substyle, pick me behavior. It's going to be a little crazy how one person created an entire subcategory, mislabeled it, and now it is what it is today. It's a little wild, all starting in 2008, so let me take you there and we'll discover this little journey together. So what exactly is Bittersweet Lolita? I would argue that Bittersweet Lolita actually has two definitions. The bittersweet how we see it today, and the bittersweet how it was in the past / how one person came up with it. The funny thing about the substyle is that even the Lolita fashion wiki does not have a lot of information on it. Let me read you what it says. Bittersweet is a term exclusively used by the West that refers to black colorway sweet Lolita outfits with gothic influences and not a specific style. While it usually doesn't differ from sweet Lolita in general, it's a highly popular choice for the Halloween releases of the various Lolita brands. The term was created in 2008 by an user on EGL to describe her personal style. In my personal opinion, this is a very lackluster and also very small description. If you compare this definition to any of the other ones, especially like military Lolita, which is also a smaller subcategory, it has comparably very little on it, with very little photos, very little examples, very little anything, which I find really surprising and probably also goes into the whole controversy surrounding it, and we'll get into that and everything else too. Just so we have a definition, this I think is more so aligned with the most recent definitions of Bittersweet Lolita and most people's understanding of it. It's a sweet print like this one, which is my Milky-chan JSK, but in a black colorway. Now, how was it in 2008? Well, here is where things get a little bit crazy. Picture this. It is 2008 and the internet is quite the boom. Blog posts and sites specifically like LiveJournal are really popular. There's so many other Lolitas from the Western community, but also there appears to be quite a bit of infighting, and one user will cause a fire, and that user is Little Usako. So this Lolita on this random day decided to discuss sweet and gothic in combination. Now let's get an idea why people got so offended and upset about this, and maybe dissect it a little bit. Okay, are you guys ready? A new subcategory, Bittersweet Lolita. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, years actually, and have finally decided that it's time to put down in words, something that I've been wanting to share with the community. I want to share my idea of a whole new subcategory of elegant gothic Lolita fashion, Bittersweet Lolita. Defining, explaining, and understanding Bittersweet Lolita. First off, a definition of bittersweet: courtesy. Bittersweet refers to a combination of the standard taste of sweetness and bitterness, and is often used as a metaphor for experiences which have elements of both happiness and sadness. I don't really know why this is super related here. I guess, sure, throw it in, but it's not really the most important aspect, I think. Where the idea originated from. Granted, after all these years, I've been into the Lolita fashion, far too many, enough to see the trends die and come back again, which I think is really funny now in retrospect. Like, I'm reading this in the year 2025 and they posted this in 2008. A lot of time has passed and many things have changed. I own a grand total of what I consider one sweet Lolita dress, which I have kept for a few years now, mainly because of fond memories attached to it. Though I'm not sure if Meta's Melody Special set in gray and black also counts as sweet Lolita. Besides that, honestly, I personally can't stand sweet Lolita and have much distaste for it. I'd be cut dead wearing a frilly pink dress because it's just not me. Fair is not to be confused with disliking people who are into sweet Lolita. I personally don't like dressing in sweet, colorful stuff. However, I'm kind of a person who also enjoys a classic floral print. Keep that in mind. Classic floral print. It will be important. Essentially, I became frustrated not knowing how to describe my Lolita style to others, and well, I began calling this other subcategory of mine Bittersweet Lolita. It means enjoying sweet prints on black, but also having a flair of goth darkness behind it all. Or really, just wearing prints on black is what started it all. Bittersweet Lolita are for the ones who enjoy wearing black dresses detailed with elegant floral prints, sweet prints, etc. Bittersweet Lolita is not over-the-top candy frou-frou angelic pretty macaron cupcake swirls make me want to puke sort of style on black fabric. In a way, you could say that Bittersweet Lolita is a gothic Lolita who also enjoys a bit of sweet. They give an example of one of their dresses, just the black colorway of some floral print. I want to highlight a few things here that I deem quite important to note, and that you can probably tell people weren't too happy with. On the one hand, they are describing the print to not be over-the-top cutesy and not like some sweet Lolita threw up on it. They also say in the same sentence that it is okay to have sweet prints, but at the same time it's only floral prints. So I'm really confused about the exact definition. Which is it? I am really confused about this definition here. I can say both are fine, but they are condemning sweet prints and saying sweet prints. So I'm like, which is it? Is this bittersweet or is this just sweet? And some people might say it was 2008, you know, the categories weren't as established yet, and that's just not true. That is completely incorrect. Classic, gothic, and sweet Lolita are like the baseline, and what they are describing specifically with floral prints are very typically associated with classic Lolita. I wanted to show you some more examples of what I personally think is a better definition of Bittersweet Lolita according to what OP thought they said, and here are some floral prints in a more bittersweet design. As you can see, these are from the time frame 2002 to 2008, and these are much better, clearer designs that are bittersweet because they actually have sweet elements. While the lines can be blurry, I do think that sweet Lolita dresses have a certain style to them with their bows and more over-the-top, I guess, options, and these are perfect examples for bittersweet in my opinion. Now that does not mean that there's no sweet Lolita prints that have floral designs, but I think they are usually very, very infamously sweet, if you know what I mean, depending on how you cord it, style it, etc. But specifically in the way they describe it and they describe the cords, it is very little sweet in the entire context of bittersweet, and I think they are trying to really cling onto that gothic identity. Hear me out, okay? I think OP taking it very seriously to be seen as a gothic Lolita. Also, they made it very clear that they heavily dislike OTT sweet or sweet in general. Not once did they really say, you know, pink frills and bows, which is very typically associated with sweet Lolita. But how did people respond to this whole blog post? Because in the end, they did ask for, you know, advice or thoughts or anything like that. So they encouraged people to chime into this conversation. The first comment reads, "I like that word bittersweet. It sounds cool. I kind of understand what you mean. I myself am very much on the goth side. I dislike over-the-top sweet, on me at least. Try it for fun though, but definitely not on a regular basis. But I do enjoy classic prints a lot. However, I like to add a touch of sweet to my outfit from time to time. Be it some sweets, cutesy jewelry pink. I like pink a lot. I just would not wear pink only. And I like stuff that is considered sweet, such as carousel fairies. I'm obsessed with vampires, dark fantasy, goth novels." Okay. On the other hand, I can't resist a Hello Kitty plushie. So yeah, bittersweet, I guess. I'm not sure what I think about the idea of Bittersweet Lolita, but I must say that you worded your ideas very eloquently. There's a lot of deleted comments as well. I've always considered that to just be sweet Lolita, it's only in the last couple of years that so much over-the-top, super-duper sweet stuff has been coming out, and perhaps skewing the perception of sweet Lolita. Anyway, it's also pretty close to Kuro Lolita as is. I've always thought of Kuro Lolly. Back in the day, they used lolly. It was not in a weird way. It was just a short for Lolita. Bear with them, okay? Bear with them. As being sweet style. In black, that's what makes it Kuro Lolita, and not gothic Lolita, because it doesn't have a gothic style to it. Honestly, a lot of what people consider gothic Lolita now is just sweet Lolita done in black, and it kind of annoys me that they can't just call it sweet or Kuro, because then gothic Lolita gets a bit lost, and people start to think that gothic elements of any kind don't belong in Lolita at all. Huh? Sure, they don't belong in sweet Lolita outfit, but what the heck else is gothic Lolita supposed to be? Those were a few of the responses that people were giving. Again, many people were agreeing with the premise and also feeling it deeply for themselves. Maybe they were screwing the definition a little bit themselves because, again, I think OP was a lot on classic Lolita, or what we would consider classic Lolita now, and not really sweet. There's a lot of people say that, oh my god, Gen Z is so sensitive, or, you know, that the communities nowadays are so sensitive, when back in the day there was already infighting over kind of minor things. Now, how did some more infamous people in the community react to it that also had a platform? Well, there's a few established bloggers. I will pull up 2 blog posts that I found, one 10 years later, still analyzing the situation, and one that actually came out at the time. And I think this response in particular is really interesting and shows you what other people were thinking. This came out in response to that post, and I will read it to you. I don't frequent the main Lolita community too often, so I'm usually one of the last to know about new trends, unless someone tells me. I recently learned about a new-ish phrase going around, Bittersweet Lolita, referring to sweet designs and prints in black. What the fuck? Why can't we just call it Sweet Lolita, like we have been? Or even just forget about this new obsession for creating new and wacky labels and just calling it Lolita? Because the Lolita community tends to revolve around the internet, whether we like it or not. Silly things like this always seem to pop up. We need something to label our daily outfit shots, new interests to add to our profiles, or something we can type into a search engine to find exactly what we want. I guess I'm what you call a bittersweet Lolita. As I type, I'm decked out in baby's Virgin Mary J's cane black, paired with a cute little baby, a bunny-eared hooded bolero. My closet is sprinkled throughout with the black version of prints, and if I could afford it, would be bursting full of them. But the term makes me cringe. It has the same ring to it as little big girl. I don't know about that, but I guess does from way back in the day, when that was an acceptable alternative term for Lolita. I just don't care for it, for both the phrase and the idea of having to box myself into not just one style, one specific color. I really hate the term. I sometimes use black sweet, but it's not like I'm aiming to make a whole new subsection of sweet Lolita. Soon blue Lolita pieces are gonna be powder sweet, and pink ones candy sweet, and let's not forget candy sweet deco. And okay, I'm done. I hate excessive labeling and sub-labeling. Why not just wear what feels good without feeling the need to label yourself? But now that you guys know how a very infamous Lolita blog person felt about this, I guess, new subcategory, and a lot of people followed with this sentiment, was, can we stop with the unnecessary labeling? Like, stop this, oh my god, we're tired of it, blah blah blah. I kind of understand that sentiment. I think we still have this going around right now in discussions on TikTok and Instagram, where people are just saying, oh my god, stop labeling everything, yada yada yada, just call it fashion, just enjoy fashion. But at the same time, I feel like I cannot blame people. A few years ago, we saw the existence of idol Lolita or something along those lines. Honestly, I caught myself in this thinking pattern of thinking, what the fuck is idol Lolita? Are we serious? Can we stop with the new categories? But again, it's not for me. It doesn't have to be for me. They have some cool designs. It's just not for me. It's not making a mockery of Lolita fashion. It's just not my style, and that's okay. Lolita fashion is a very, very, very broad fashion style nowadays. You can have Lolita in so many different variants and colors and styles, and isn't that really cool, actually? I also think it's not a bad idea to have labels for these things. It's not similar, and I'm not trying to make that comparison, but maybe it's easier for people to understand. Like LGBTQ+. Some people think, why do we need a label for everything? Like, why do you need that? People like labeling. People like putting themselves into boxes. It's a very human thing. Some people do, some people don't. Very normal though. I also like labeling myself as OTT Sweet. I love OTT Sweet. It's my favorite thing ever. I love Hime Lolita, and I love having words to describe my favorite fashion substyles. I think it's really neat, and I think Bittersweet Lolita is actually quite valid. Whether or not it is valid the way the OP described it, I don't know, but Bittersweet Lolita turned into something far greater and far beyond what one person really came up with, if you know what I mean. I really don't understand the hate for it as much because I think we should be open to new ideas. Lolita fashion will continue to evolve. It shouldn't lose its roots, but I don't think it is. Some people are fear-mongering and saying that Lolita isn't what it used to be. It really is still what it is. Lolita fashion has not stopped existing existing as it used to be. We have more options nowadays than ever before. It is more affordable and also accessible. Yes, main brands are doing some things that we can complain about, and I will never shut up about it. I still love it. I love Lolita fashion, and I love that it's expanding. I love that we're getting new sub-styles. Like, maybe one day I'll change my mind and I see a sub-style that I absolutely hate, but all I'm gonna say is, isn't it cool how Lolita fashion has something for almost everyone? We have a masculine version, we have many feminine versions, we have versions for literally anyone that has a specific niche. That should be celebrated and not dismissed or put down. Having a label for something gives it validity. Because very often, specifically on TikTok, may I say, or online, a lot of people like to dismiss certain styles. They like to dismiss things if it doesn't have a label because they think it's not original. It's not real, it's not a proper category, therefore it's wrong. But if you categorize it, if you allow it to exist, communities can be surrounding it. And also people can find these items much more easily. Now that I rambled for a little bit, let's continue with the other blog post that I found discussing this about 10 years later, I'm pretty sure. There's a lot to unpack here. I think we need to start by acknowledging that there's a bias here. The writer is dismissive while talking about and describing sweet and equates it with vomit. I mentioned that as well, right? I think that inherent bias against being associated with pink, fluffy stuff, which the writer clearly does not like, was most likely the driving force behind picking a different name. After all, if someone was okay with sweet, in general, they probably wouldn't have felt the need to rename it when it was in a specific color. We don't call Sweet Lolita in red or pink or yellow its own specific term, for example. To that, I want to say, I don't fully agree, because I think Bittersweet Lolita is more than just sweet in a black colorway. Bittersweet, I think, is a very broad subcategory and is a little bit different to me than just a blue colorway of a dress or a blue way of courting or a pink way of courting, a yellow way of courting. It has very heavy similarities to maybe pastel goth and that sort of imagery, which, by the way, pastel goth was also incredibly hated at the time. I think a lot of people forget about that and have these nostalgia goggles on. Many people did like it. Many people also heavily disliked it because it was such a subcategory. Gothic people really disliked it and thought it made a joke of goth fashion, and also a lot of kawaii people hated that darkness was brought into their community and into their space. Very often, Sweet Lolita is not associated with black, typically. I think very often when people see black in a pink cord, it is a totally different reaction than if you see blue or yellow in a sweet cord, because that is almost expected. Any pastels, I mean, hell yeah, but a striking black color is a very different reaction. So separating that, I think, is not a bad idea. And to me, Bittersweet Lolita, as I mentioned, makes sense. It is something that, to me at least, exists and makes sense. Where did the term pick me really come from? I've seen it in a few blog posts, and I also have seen it in some comments regarding Bittersweet Lolita. Well, there's a mix of things that really come into play here. Firstly, the wording that OP uses, are quite harsh and very emotional in a way. I could never be caught dead wearing pink or Sweet Lolita. Feeling the need to create an entire subculture to avoid sweet. I think a lot of people go through this phase when they are a teenager and AFAB, a girl, a woman, or all of a sudden they start to reject anything girly, pink, or cute, or anything that is resembling something a little bit more childlike. That's why I believe that many people that are also growing up with Lolita fashion decide to switch their style when they get to be a certain age, because they think they can no longer wear it, they're too old for it, it's too childish, they have to be more mature. I think this is a very common trait that is almost brainwashed into us. I want to preface this though, that not everyone who dislikes feminine things or pink things or girly things is a pick-me girl, but I'm saying there's definitely a trend here where society really doesn't like it if teenage girls or even grown women dress that way because it seems immature, you are stupid or dumb. We see this a lot in 2000s movies as well. I know this is probably looking way too deep into this, but I just think it's very interesting to bring this into the discussion because we see this phenomenon a lot with Lolita fashion spaces where people are being criticized for wearing Sweet Lolita specifically because they are being told that they are too old for this. It looks childish, whereas other Lolita fashion styles not get this energy as much. Pick me girls, they prioritize what other people think of them. They prioritize what men specifically think of them. They prioritize how other people view them. They tend to dull themselves down. They tend to relabel themselves. They tend to separate themselves from all the girly things. They want to be different. They want to be not like them because they don't want to associate with all this stigma that comes with it. That's why many girls that are in this pick me mindset say that they can't hang out with girls. They're too much drama. They prefer hanging out with guys or, you know, something along those lines. I'm not saying everyone that does this is a pick me girl, but I'm saying there's definitely a trend where some people like to go more towards the male gaze that is a little bit more acceptable, a little bit safer, you know, where people probably think of you a little bit differently. I don't want to project anything onto this person. I don't want to project anything onto anyone, but that's just some thoughts that came up to me around this whole situation where I thought, people call this person a pygmy. It could obviously be true. It doesn't have to be, but I just thought it was an interesting thought. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. I know it was very ranty and just showing you a couple blog articles. I hope you liked it though. I hope it was interesting. I'm sorry for my cat screaming in the background. Wonderful rest of your day. Love you so much. Definitely let me know what you guys think about Bittersweet Lolita. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Did you know about this? I'd love to know, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!